how are we gonna go live?
Oh
it's,
no,
it's
we're
the
all
Patrick
live.
Show.
Ba-dum-bum, ba-dum-bum. He's the Patrick. It's Patrick. He's the guy with Patrick in your eye.
He's got a Cramps
Just got
t-shirt.
weird quick.
Patrick, he can fly. He's gonna die.
It's like we're live on all.
We're live on all.
Never
Very
say
good.
that.
All right. Hit. All right. Hit the. Make sure your phone's muted. We're coming right back. I promise. Hit the thing. Welcome to Kilts and Culture. I am Rocky. This is Eric.
Victorian England had a huge influence on the fashions and styles that were happening in Highland dress in Scotland.
Tartan is Scotland's gift to the world, and it is your personal heritage story. Howdy, burls and burls and goys. Howdy, boys and girls. Welcome to Kilts and Culture. I'm Rocky.
Yo, I'm Eric.
The upstage
Do
me.
not do 2
Upstage
hours
me.
of TikToking right before you go live on YouTube.
Or have
That's the
multiple
lesson.
energy drinks and coffee.
Oh man.
We're ready, guys. It's going to be a show. Just you wait. All right.
Hot
Today,
diggity.
special treat. Whoa. Told you it's going to be a show. All right.
Oh wow.
Today, special treat.
Yeah.
The Ben Reek, the original 10. This is one that I bought a long time ago, and we've been trying a bunch of other people's things, and eventually I was like, I need to try this because I want to try it. Looks delicious. So, I'm going to pour. Got to get my old, there you go, branding.
The
logos up front there.
oft sought after.
Off sought after, highly coveted USA Kilts, Glencairn glasses.
glasses.
Yes,
Yeah.
indeed. And pouring these out here. Mac is coming around. We have
Oh, he's
Mac
coming.
on the show today.
You know, it's the Pavlovian response. He didn't even ask you. He just immediately knew to come.
Yes, Mac. What tartan do you have on today back there, buddy?
I have the Saspray.
Saspray.
Sarsaparilla?
Yeah, that's whatever. Strathclyde. That's it.
Strathclyde.
I don't know.
Okay.
We're gonna restart this, right? We're gonna try this intro thing
Yeah,
again.
this is all gonna get cut out. Yes, indeed. Okay.
Strathclyde.
Strathclyde. Very
You
nice.
know, with the shadow on your.
Strathspey. I don't know what the hell you have on. Who cares? All right. I'm done.
I thought it was Strathclyde.
Yes. Okay.
Okay. It is Strathclyde, ladies and
From
gentlemen.
Strathmore. Yes. No, it's House Vegar, actually. Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Okay. All right. Thanks. Get
Or
out.
at least on that note, we got that right.
All right. Eric, what do you have on today?
Do you want me to be goofy like Mac or actually answer?
Like
I am
actually-
wearing County Wexford, my favorite Irish tartan. There you go.
Very good. Lovely. Today I have on the ever lovely? Sure. American Dream tartan designed by us. Us peoples.
Ever loving American
Yes.
Dream.
Indeed. All right. Enough of this. Drink up. Mac, smell it. What do you smell? What do you do? What do you taste? What do you feel?
Well, according to the notes we have here, the nose is a rich orchard fruit.
Maybe some honey
Honey and maybe
toasted oak?
Toasted oak, too.
Oh, interesting.
Notes are on the bottle.
Yeah, and this is one thing that I'll give them credit for. They put the notes right on the freaking bottle. Perfect. Good idea. I don't know why more companies don't do that.
I agree with the honey.
Smoke level, a trace. And this is a Speyside for those in the know. Yep. I definitely get in the honey.
Yeah, honey, for sure.
A little bit of fruity. Yep.
Yeah, that's really
Yeah.
accurate.
It's minimal and accurate. All right. Here's mud in your eye. Now, we didn't let this breathe much.
No.
So it's a little, I wouldn't say too burny. And it goes
very
away right
short.
away. It's a little
Very
peppery.
short.
Very short.
I thought it was very peppery.
Yeah.
I'm finding it very peppery.
I think
See,
that's...
I don't think it's that short, though. I'm still feeling it sides and back or tasting it sides and back.
mine's
A little
pretty
honey.
much gone. According to their notes for the palate, it's ripe pear, nectarine, and malt sweetness, with a finishing note of almond and spiced vanilla. So spiced vanilla, maybe, yeah, kind of. I'm getting.
Is this sherry cask? I'm getting a little bit of
Kind of
sherry.
tastes like that, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I think
It does say it says sherry cask
Okay. Yeah, I'm getting the sherry cask. I'm getting a little bit of the honey.
and virgin oak.
Yeah.
But yeah, their smoke, their trace level of smoke, it's like someone just went, blew smoke around in the area,
Yeah.
and that was it.
I don't mind that though.
I'm gonna have a little tiny drop.
I'm kind of getting a little bit of the nuttiness that they're talking about. What was it? Is it almond?
Almond, yeah.
Because it's kind of a little bit of a tannic edge.
I mean,
It's
a
probably
lot
from
of
the
the
oak cask.
a lot of the reviews that I was reading up on it were saying very similar, like very fruity, a lot of fruit notes that they kept saying, which
I'm not picking up on the fruit as much, but that's probably just my palate.
It's kind of the sweetness. It's a generic fruity sweetness.
yeah, it's not really like
Yeah.
it's not like
It's
the
not
red
apple.
fruits.
Or, yeah. It's not a specific
The
apple
red fruits. Yeah.
peach or something like that. It's just kind of fruity.
Well, they did say ripe pear and nectarine, so
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
Nectarine. I guess I could see that. Maybe a little apricot-y to my taste buds.
Yeah. I'm feeling it in the apricot-y. It's a little peppery. I'm surprised there's no notes
Yeah.
about pepper.
Yeah.
I'm getting a little pepper.
but I think that's what the spiced vanilla is that's their peppery.
I'm not
That's their
getting
code.
vanilla, but
That's
I'm
their
getting
code for.
I'm getting a little peppery. Spiced vanilla. It's like habanero. Habanero vanilla.
Maybe
not
I'm
bad.
getting a little bit of vanilla. I don't think any of the notes that they're citing are very strong for me, but I can, they're leading me as a witness. I can just like, yeah, now that you mention it, I think I can taste that.
Yeah.
But it's good. Overall,
Yeah.
it's a very nice, even flavor. It's not too smoky. It's not too sweet.
Yeah, I'm not getting the almond. I'm getting a little peppery, like sides and back of tongue. Is where it's kind of lingering for me. I do get the honey. I'll agree with them on that. Yeah, I'd give their notes like 50%. I don't feel their notes really nailed it for me. I don't get nectarine.
How often do you eat nectarines?
Nectarines peaches a reasonable amount,
Okay.
especially in August. I do get the malty kind of sweetness a little bit. I don't really get the almond. I don't get any vanilla, although I do get a spiciness to it, a little pepperiness. So, meh.
A little vanilla, but
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'd say like there's a hint of vanilla at the end.
towards
but-
the end. Towards the end, exactly. I
Yeah.
agree. Are we trying to say it can't make up its mind?
No, I think it's inaccurate to me. Not everyone has an individual palate. They're all going to get their own things from it. Not everyone is going to get the same exact notes. I understand that. For me, I don't get much of what they're saying. But I usually get the majority of the notes. All right, Mac, where you at? Score it 1 to 10.
I think I'm kind of middle of the road on this one. I mean, it's not bad. It's also not. It's not terrible. I'm gonna go 6.5. It's
Okay.
kind of middle of the road area,
Okay.
and that's about where. I mean, most the reviews I was reading were putting it as a good. It's a good beginner, good entry level into. So that's kind of where that's kind of where I put it.
It's kind of where my head was at too. It's just it's kind of mild. I almost want to say it's neither fish nor fowl. It's just kind of
It's a space
General.
side, so I'm surprised it has this much like pepper and body to it. Most space sides are like super light and just kind of chill. Okay.
well, yeah. I was actually gonna say 6.2. So yeah, we're on the same page. I feel like it's good. It's not. It doesn't have a lot of personality somehow. It's nice, but it's not dramatic.
Now that I've been swirling it around and it's breathing a little bit in the past, 5-6 minutes, it's tasting a little bit better to me.
You know, I bet this would benefit from pairing. This feels like one that, because the notes are kind of very mild to me at least, that you'd probably bring more out if you paired it with a cheese or a chocolate or something like that. You know,
Ooh, yeah, chocolate.
Yeah,
According to their website, they suggest cheese and beef.
Well, beef goes with everything, but
So where's Jason?
Yeah, exactly.
Jason.
um,
That's our friend who does smoked meats for a living, by the way, in case you're wondering.
I was about to give this a 6.3, but I think I'm creeping up. I think this is going to be a sneaker. I think this one's going to improve the more we let it sit and kind of sip it throughout the show.
It's getting a little sweeter.
Yeah.
Now I'm letting it breathe. And
Yeah. Yeah.
sweetness
If
is
you
coming out more.
swirl it around a little bit, give it a touch of water. I don't know if you gave it any water.
I did.
Yeah. I'm going to go up to, I'll go up to 6.8. I was going to go 6.3, but I'll go 6.8. I think it's improving, and I think it could go up to like 7.2, 7.3 if I
Okay.
really just let it chill out for a
I
bit.
don't think my opinion is going to change, but I'll let you know.
Okay. All right. Very good. That's about it. All right. Boys and girls, load your questions in. You know the drill, or you should know the drill by now if you've watched us more than 27 million times that we've been on. Yes, load in your questions. Highline Wear Kilts, we are here, but your humble servants to answer whatever questions you have. Mr. Eric, what is your
My
first
question?
preloaded question?
Okay.
I don't care about your questions. I want
yeah,
the people. The
no way it
people
does.
need to know.
Theodore Dubois, hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, said to us, "My girlfriend and I have matching tartan for our great kilts. Would wearing shirts that match be going too far?" So how matchy is too matchy? If
How
you're a couple?
matchy is matchy?
If you're a couple, especially.
If you're a couple, yeah, it depends on the couple. There's a friends of ours named the Kramers, Tony and Ange Kramer, and they wear matching stuff every single time they go out. No matter what tartan they get, they have to both get the same tartan, and they wear like essentially matching color shirts. And I usually see them at Celtic festivals and stuff. But yes, it's done. It's very on the nose, cutesy couple thing to do. So I wouldn't. I'll put it this way: my wife wouldn't do it with me if I asked her. But she and I have different taste in clothing. So can it be done? Sure. If you like it, have at it. There's nothing wrong with it. Your thoughts?
Yep. No, I mean, the Kramers get away with it because they're both very stylish people. I think exactitude would be a little too cutesy for me personally. There's nothing wrong with doing it. My wife and I will go as far as like trying to have similar colors or same color in outfits.
Make sure you don't clash.
Yeah, well, that's part of it. Yeah, and there's a little bit of funness to like I'm wearing red, so she's gonna wear red. But I would say just don't make it exact. Like don't both wear Highland shirts. Don't both wear the exact same accessories or whatever. Just try to have some variety in the details, and it's fun. I think that's why the Kramers, it works with them, because he is usually in like a good 5 or 8 yard kilt with a nice sporran and usually a tweed vest or something and a tie. She will do a much more feminine look, with like a mini kilt and like a nice blouse and stuff. It's like similar, almost exact. Kind of like gender bending superheroes. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like, well, it's like female Spider-Man. How would that look? It's a little like that.
Captain
kind of
Hishi
like,
and
yeah. So it's just like don't make every single detail exact. Have a little freedom of personality. That's fine.
Agreed.
It's like I told him, when we were looking at this, don't be that couple who flies down to Florida as snowbirds every year who have the matching velour jumpsuits or tracksuits. Like.
Now I kind of want a velour tracksuit, nice and cozy.
Now you have to convince Kelly to get exactly the same one though. And yes, people do that.
Oh.
They do that.
Oh, why? No.
Because they think it's fun and it's comfortable. So
yeah. If you're flying, you want to be comfortable. So fair.
I think the macro is this is supposed to be about enjoying the expression and the culture. So if that's where you find your fun and you're having a really fun shared experience, then go for it. Yeah, that's kind of part of the whole point of this.
Agreed.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Mr. Mack, do we have any questions from the audience?
I do. So we have Ben Sanford asking, this is on YouTube, He said, "I'll be wearing a kilt to an outdoor Scottish Games event, where it'll be would be more likely be hot and sunny. Would a light colored T-shirt be okay? And should he avoid anything with graphics on the shirt?"
Did he say what country he is in?
Did not.
Okay. So, essentially, he's going to Highland Games. Can you wear a T-shirt with kilt? Yeah, absolutely. I do it all the time. Yeah. The only secret I will give you about the T-shirt is trying to make sure that the graphic is up high enough. Patrick, cut back to the main camera. Making sure that the graphic is up high enough on the T-shirt that it's not tucked into the kilt. A lot of like our T-shirts that we sell, we actually have them move the graphic up an inch or so just to make sure that you can see it above the top of the kilt if you're wearing your kilt traditional, like above your belly button kind of height.
Right.
So that would be my only, trick about it. If it's going to be really, really hot outside, maybe do a one of the, like performance fabric T-shirts if you have one of those, just because it'll wick away the sweat versus just being bogged down in a sweaty cotton shirt all day with the salt stains on the back.
Yeah.
But yeah, absolutely. Thoughts?
I sweat like a pig, so I do not like shirts that will show the sweat right away. So that's another reason why I prefer darker colors. Salt stains notwithstanding.
Yeah.
I personally do not like printed shirts unless it's really, 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 really low key or it's not a Celtic event. Like if it's just a rock concert or something, then maybe a printed shirt. But I much prefer a solid color shirt and some Celtic jewelry. I think it just looks sharper, looks more intentional, a little more sharp.
Yeah. It's yes, I would agree. And good point about the solid color shirt. I often wear solid color T-shirts. I had a black T-shirt on earlier today. And when you're wearing a solid black or a solid color T-shirt, it allows the rest of your outfit, whether that's the kilt,
right,
whether that's the jewelry, whether that's whatever it is, to take more of the attention, and you're drawing less attention to the chest. If you're wearing a big honking target on your chest, yes, you have, this is where the attention is going, or you're splitting the attention between the shirt design and the kilt design. So, good point.
Yeah, or you might unintentionally have some clashiness going on. Not everybody can be Mac. He is the master of matching every part of a casual outfit, from kiltos all the way up to NASCAR hats. He somehow makes it work with his tartans, and
from
it's amazing.
Shoes all the way up to NASCAR
You're right.
hat,
Shoes sometimes too. Most of us do not have that power, so I would not go with a printed shirt if it were me. But yeah,
Mac, what's your superpower? Matching.
Start with hat, then go to shoes.
there you go. I see. I see.
The
So
master has spoken.
one slight tip you might want to consider if you're using a backpack or some similar small luggage thing for the day, or if you can get access to your car easily, maybe have a backup shirt. So if you start to feel gross and sweaty, you can just change into a dry shirt. You know, like after the heat of the day is over, but you're staying for concerts in the evening, go and change your shirt. That can be a nice, just for comfort kind of a thing.
Yeah.
It keeps you looking tidy.
Yeah, especially if it's gonna exactly what you just said. Especially if the temperature's gonna dip.
Yeah.
Like if you're gonna have a sudden drop off where it's like 78 degrees during the day, but as soon as the sun goes down, like you're in the desert or something, and you're out, west in Arizona, and the sun goes down and it dips to 65 degrees. Being in a cold, damp shirt,
Well,
in the cold, I'd rather switch into a nicer,
yes,
clean
except
t-shirt.
that in the desert, you're not going to have a damp shirt. It evaporates
yes, fair,
like that.
fair.
So,
Okay.
but
All right.
but yeah, point taken.
in a climate wear. Yes,
We're used to a lot of humidity around here.
indeed,
Yeah, that's it.
absolutely. All right, Eric, next one.
Me?
Yes, you.
Okay.
Oh shucks, me.
Oh, shucks. Okay.
Ooh. The nose is getting better on this the more it's
my.
sitting. It really is.
Oh my.
It's almost caramely.
Caramely?
Yeah. I think I'm liking it more. I gotta let it breathe. Damn it.
Okay. Josh Norris said, "This might be a dumb question, but I have a Pfaff brand industrial sewing machine, and I'm going to start using it for sewing kilts. I also craft sporrans out of leather. Do you think an industrial sewer such as a Pfaff is up to sewing leather as thick as what a sporran would call for? I know this isn't really an area of expertise for you guys, but an honest opinion from a knowledgeable source would help tremendously. I think we may know more about it than he thinks.
Yeah.
But you certainly know industrial machines.
Yeah. And Mac, I'll end up bringing you in for some of this, probably. For kilt making, if you're going to sew a kilt with a machine, i.e., you're not going to hand sew the kilt. We have a lot of different machines, all of them industrial at this point. There's single needle straight stitch machines. There's buttonhole machines. There's blind stitch machines. There's industrial sergers or overlocks. There's a belt loop machine we have. So we have a lot of different types of machines for sewing a kilt. Can many of those things be done on a regular, single needle straight stitch machine? Sure. For sewing sporns, that's the more interesting one. When you are sewing leather to fabric, I'll start with a kilt because you're still sewing for the straps on the kilt. You're still sewing leather to fabric. It gets a little hairy where you're mixing materials. So there's a needle, a specific type of needle that you would use for leather. It's like a kind of either like a sword tip, I think that's what it's called, or there's also ones that are kind of like a little pierced tip, which have like it pierces the fibers of the leather versus a ballpoint needle, which is what you use for normally sewing clothing. So there's some differences there. And it's difficult to sew leather to fabric, or can be difficult to sew leather to fabric because you need a thick enough gauge to properly go through the leather and pierce the leather, and then also pair it with wool cloth. So you don't want to get a sharp point or a needle that's going to kind of push through the leather and actually cut through it, because then it could actually cut the fabric of the wool of the kilt that you're sewing it to and then compromise the integrity of the fabric. So that's a little bit tricky. When you're actually sewing leather for a sporn, it depends on the thickness of the leather and like the horsepower or the power of the machine. A lot of them use just like the what did Greg call it? I asked my sporn maker this. Basically it's a long arm on the sewing machine that you can like kind of free float sew things versus a flatbed where you have the feed dogs grabbing the actual fabric. If you're just sewing like a Rob Roy style sporn, where it's like thinner leather, it's kind of soft, supple, thin leather for a pouch style sporn, then you could probably get away with the faff that you have. But if you're trying to sew a thicker, like hide leather or split hide leather, where it's a very, very thick, stiff quality leather, then you're going to need a thicker needle. You're going to need a different type of machine. You're probably going to need thicker thread. That's probably a nylon thread. Mac, do you have any thoughts on the types of stuff, the machines that you would need, or the threads or the needles that you need to sew leather?
I did talk to one of our kilt makers, Susie, about it. She's worked a lot with
leather.
Yeah,
she worked with leather.
So I asked her what some of her concerns would be. Her first question was, is it a walking foot or is it, just a stationary? Because she said that's a lot of times when they did work, they used walking feet. And they even had particular walking feet machines for different thicknesses of leather too. So she said what may be good on this one may not work out as well on that one. So there's a lot of open questions on as far as how much certain things can handle. Yeah. So there's, without knowing more detail, I mean, the machine is the name of the machine is great. Now,
FAF is a good name.
Is it depending on what type of level of industrial machine is it more of a home industrial machine, or is it like an industrial like we have across the hall?
FAF would probably be what we have across the hall.
I looked it up. I looked up machines yesterday,
machines?
And they have kind of a gamut of machines.
Okay. Now he did say industrial, so let's take him on his word that it's industrial. And again, FAF's a good name. Mm-hmm. It's the type of machine, a cylinder arm, or I forget what the hell Greg called it.
Yeah, you're talking about the arm that just kind of sticks out. Now those are a lot of times those are standing machines too. So
sometimes yeah.
Now talking to Susie about that, she did say that would be more it give him the ability to maneuver around a lot easier than it would be on something that has a base, something that's flat.
Yeah, when you need to like turn and go around like the bottom circumference of the sporran down here in this area, kind of thing. I'm trying to think what else. Anything else with? No, and the other thing I'll say is the thickness of the needle. Like we have a 110 gauge for ours, but they make thicker needles. They make thinner needles. Like the thickness of the needle, if you're going to be doing something silk, there's two things you have to worry about: is the thickness of the needle as well as the hole on the throat plate on the machine. Because if you have too wide of a throat plate, when the needle goes down, it pushes, and thin fabric like silk, it's going to push the fabric down inside, and it's going to screw up the fabric. Leather, it's obviously a thicker needle because you need it to be stronger and a wider throat plate. The needle almost has to match the throat plate. The other thing with leather is what type of animal is the leather? Is it kangaroo, which is like super, super, super dense? It's even more dense than bovine, where the fibers go all different directions on the way that the animal is? Or is it something that like the fibers all kind of run one direction? So if the leather, for lack of a better term, could tear easily because the fibers naturally grow all one direction. So you're just going through it, like in piercing a wide section versus something that's crisscrossed across the entire animal. So that's another thing to consider during it. How thick is the leather? Different machines are going to handle it differently. I know Greg has like 5 or 6 different machines depending on what type of material, what type of leather he's sewing that particular day. So there's a lot of different variables here is ultimately what it boils down to. So there's not like one good machine for everything.
I was going to say, was that kind of what he was hoping to use that same machine for kilt making and sporran making?
If I was him, I'd hope for that.
Well, yeah.
I wish we could use the same machine for everything.
Well, we're doing some things, but not supposed to, but well, it works.
Yes. It really depends on the individual machine. And machines, believe it or not, are very, very, very temperamental. We have literally the exact same model jukis for a lot of our single needle straight stitch, and some of them like to sew leather to wool, others don't. Some will go over the buckles and sew a buckle onto a kilt, others won't. So it's really down to the individual machine almost, whether you have a good and sturdy one or whether it's more temperamental and delicate. It's good luck. Godspeed.
Yeah.
Welcome to hell. We know all about it. We live there. And it's really the same for every company that deals with this kind of stuff.
So maybe a test project and getting, if they're not too expensive, getting a couple different needles to experiment with.
Yes, and making sure that the needles you get are will work with the size throat plate that you have. And making sure that you change the needle if you have any kind of burr on the tip of the needle. When you go through something and you catch the edge of the throat plate is the plate that the needle actually goes down through and then catches the bobbin on the bottom. If you have any kind of burr in the needle or just a little tiny little hook in the tip of the needle, when you are sewing through bovine, what ends up happening is it goes down, and if there's a little tiny hook there, it curves the needle, and then it's going to catch, it's going to hit the metal plate, and it's going to explode. So there's a lot of almost wear protective eyewear.
Wow.
But yeah, there's a lot more to it than people realize.
Maybe hand stitch the sporrans.
Yeah, it's why a lot of hand sewn, or companies that hand sew kilts use straps with the holes punched out so they can actually just hand sew them on. They don't have to worry about a machine to do it. Yeah. Cool. All right. Sorry, nerding out on sewing machines more than you probably care or need to know. But
I think he cared.
there you go. Yeah, he cared.
The
Everyone
rest
else
of us
doesn't.
fell asleep, Rocky.
Yeah,
but
pretty much.
He actually cared.
Mac liked the question.
Yeah, he did.
Indeed. All right, Mac, what do we got?
All right. All right, so we have Stray Cat asking, if traditional dress made a comeback as a norm, how would you envision the wear of a great kilt with modern touches and fashion?
I wouldn't.
That. A great kilt is a utilitarian garment. It's not meant to necessarily be super dressed up. It was kind of, in a lot of ways, the great kilt was kind of done before the Victorians. Victorians started playing around with plaids and different things up top to mimic the great kilt, but it wasn't a great kilt. So, yeah, and before the Victorians, it wasn't necessarily a fully formal regalia.
Oh, it could be, but they didn't.
Okay.
It wasn't about the. It wasn't so much formality as it was just showing off wealth in
Yeah.
general.
Yeah.
You know, if you wanted to show off that you were a wealthy laird, then of course you'd have the kilt. But the point is, you'd have richly embroidered, decorative jackets and shirts and waistcoats and weapons and all that kind of stuff in context to show off that you were all that.
That's fair.
But I in some ways I feel like, all right, insert lecture here. Modern formal dress, nice dress tends to be tailored to be very angular. I mean, look at this. This isn't even formal, but the point is it's triangles, rectangles, trapezoids, that kind of thing. So a great kilt is floppy and floofy, and they don't always really mix. Now we know one or two people who will wear a great kilt casually, and in some ways I feel like that's about as far as it's gone and can go, because if you're wearing it with fewer layers, softer, more rounded shapes in the other garments, then it can be kind of cool looking. But trying to pair, we have occasionally people try to ask, like, can I wear a Prince Charlie coatee with a great kilt? And it's like, no, it's gonna look dumb, because you're messing with floofy round shapes and lack of organization with very
Tails.
geometric exact tailoring of a modern jacket, and it just looks odd.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it ever will make a comeback. If people are going to try and force it to make a comeback, they'd have to alter everything else to make it. It'd be like Sean Smith, who does, one of the few people I know who does it well, doing a throwback to 18th century clothing, and that then you have all the
vest
rounded,
and,
the rounded and more
puffy
supplely
sleeves
curved kind of
and-
things.
yeah.
And then is it really? Then you're just kind of going retro. It's not like
Yeah.
pushing it forward. It's just kind of. It's not making a comeback. It's,
He's trying to be a romance novel cover.
yeah, basically.
Sean Smith on the cover of the Highland Laddie. My Highland Warrior.
But that's my opinion at least.
No,
mean,
I don't disagree.
For casual wear, sure, but if you're going casual and you're not going to care about the other stuff, a t-shirt is going to look fine because you're showing off the physique then. Bomber jacket, fine. Just you look like you're rugged and going out for an adventure. Going to a wedding with a great kilt and an argyle jacket and stuff, this looks weird.
Here's where I'll kind of go with it.
You?
When I wouldn't wear a great kilt, I'm not a great kilt guy, but
I think you're a pretty great kilt guy.
oh, thanks. Shucks. When the great kilt and or the jacket compete for space, or when the jacket gets in the way, or when what you're wearing up top gets in the way of the kilt, that's where I kind of draw the line.
Yeah, or vice versa.
Yeah. So if you're wearing a Prince Charlie, which is a formal angular jacket with tails, and you're wearing a great kilt, you can't see the tails because it's wrapped up in the back of the great kilt. So that's kind of where I draw the line under it and say, nope, this will not work with that. T-shirt is tucked in with the kilt. Wear a form-fitting T-shirt. It blends well because it's not getting in the way. As you said, shows off the physique. That could kind of work in a contemporary way. I'm thinking like Albanac. I'm thinking Sean Smith. I'm thinking Jonathan Kennedy. Thank you.
Yeah.
So there's different people that can do it and get away with it, but it's not traditional Highland wear. It's not contemporary Highland wear. They're just making it their own and kind of blending the two, which is fine, but it's going in a different direction.
Yeah, it's a growing trend. I think
Yeah.
the only way I could see it possibly working would be with some of the more formal jackets, which are intentionally a throwback to earlier 19th or even quasi 18th or Regency period styles, like a Sheriff Muir or a Montrose doublet. Maybe. I think a Montrose doublet would be fairly forgiving.
It's a higher cut, yeah.
Because it's a higher cut and it's very simple.
Or Ken Moore or something like that, yeah.
Maybe a Kenmore. I don't know.
Yeah.
Anything with lapels I feel like would look odd. if it doesn't have lapels, I think your chances are better.
Yeah.
That's kind of where I'm going at, but
Okay.
I wouldn't recommend it.
Yeah, it's there's a level, and it's also you're mixing, as you said, the angular, tight, form-fitting stuff with something kind of loose and floofy and more artistic looking. So visually, they don't work great together. So I would draw lines there, but for casual kind of organic look, I think you're fine.
Formal puffer jacket.
Define puffer jacket.
Puffer jacket with the insulation stuff. But you have like some trim. You have some silver buttons on it. You have a big saltire, chrome zipper comes up here, comes all the way up here, and becomes like a little medallion at your neck.
Now I'm thinking
formal puffer jacket.
Now I'm thinking Back to the Future, Michael J. Fox.
There you go.
With the,
puffer
why
vest.
are you wearing a life vest?
Yep.
Yes, indeed, in a great kilt. With the
Marty!
puffer vest, yes.
Oh, we have to get you back to the future. Yeah.
We have to get back to 1870. 1776. All right, sorry. All right, enough.
Great Sir Walter Scott. Yeah.
Well, Aaron Peabody said, rocking a great kilt, velvet sheriff mirror,
Purple.
and buckle brogues.
Purple sheriff mirror.
Yeah, but then he's gonna look like
Robes.
something out of the Regency almost. So it's or late 18th century. So it kind of works. I mean,
Yeah.
Why would you do that to me, Aaron? You're a friend of the show. Why would you do that?
I'd like to see him in that outfit. I think it'd be hysterical.
Now we're
I mean, it would look good.
now we're frenemies. Great.
We should probably do a challenge where we actually wear great kilts on the show sometime. I've put it out there. You know what they're going to say.
I'd need a lot more scotch.
Have you seen how much scotch we have in this building?
That's fair. We do a fair
That's
bit
not
of
a
scotch.
problem.
No. You may not be able to understand the rest of the show. It's going to be bad. All right, Mac. Was that you or Eric?
That was him.
Okay. Eric, deliver us from this hell.
Oh, me? Okay. eBoaster11 from YouTube says that they are in school to be a pastor, and in the last couple of years they've gotten into wearing kilts. Good on you. They say, I want to wear them more often. My question is this. Do you know how the clan clergy / Clark tartan would have been worn by priests? Do you have suggestions on what accessories I should wear to be formal / professional as a pastor? I think it would be fun to be the kilted pastor, but I also don't want to wind up looking like a fool.
Okay.
That concern is valid. I think a certain amount of dignity is important for your profession. So,
Yes, very much so.
Yeah.
For the priestly profession or any other, I'm
ministerial.
yes
Vocational.
No, or other professions.
Right.
I'm any profession where you're interacting with the public. I am pro kilt wearing from an aspect of it's a very disarming garment. It is. You don't go up to a guy in a kilt and think that he's going to bite your head off or something. Oftentimes, guys who are wearing kilt are very approachable, whether they're big strapping angry looking dude or not. People still think that we're approachable because they talk to me. More people talk to me wearing a kilt than if I'm wearing pants.
Mm-hmm.
So there is something to be said for wearing a kilt just for the disarming nature of the garment, so to speak.
Yep.
I've seen priests do it, with shirt, as with black shirt and collar, and I've seen priests do it, or pastors do it, kind of just with regular wear in their daily office type environment without collar.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on?
I have many
priesthood?
thoughts.
Oh, please.
I have many thoughts on priesthood. Yes, but I won't get into that. I think here's the thing. If you're still in seminary, you don't really know where you're going to land, I suspect, in terms of what your congregation is going to be like. So we can give you all the advice in the world, but if you wind up founding a church of your own, or which some people do, or being assigned to a congregation, then it may depend on what they are willing to go with or what they find appropriate. So be aware that no matter what we say, it may not survive contact with the enemy. Mm-hmm. Not the congregations are the bad guys, but they can be challenging. From people I know who've been in the game, it can be a real challenge dealing with the the personalities and the politics of a congregation. So, for instance, we used to have a friend who used to work here named Adam, who is a minister, and his congregation liked the fact that he wore a kilt. They thought he was pretty cool and enjoyed the fact that he wore kilts, but not when he was ministering. And they very strongly disagreed with the idea of him wearing one.
Yeah. Now, in fairness, he was also, shepherding to an older congregation
Correct.
who are a little bit more
Correct.
conservative, so they weren't feeling it in the same way that a more hip, playing guitar up front in the church kind of congregation.
Perhaps.
Might
I mean,
feel
yeah,
it.
it's going to depend on your denomination. It's going to depend on what part of the country you're in, all that kind of stuff. That being said, there aren't really any hard and fast rules about how to make it look professional any more than there would be for anyone in a office job, middle class job, like you were saying. So a shirt and tie, fine. A collar, if your denomination uses a collar, fine. We know plenty of people have done that. A priest's shirt with a collar and tweeds actually looks pretty cool. I know, one or two Anglicans who do that. So I don't think you need to worry too much about that. It's just a matter of just think in terms of looking professional. Think in terms of smart day wear in general. Now, if you're doing Bible study or something with the kids, then I would say a polo. Like we often say, like casual Friday kind of a vibe. I would not recommend a t-shirt. I think you need to be a little sharper than that, a little more authority. Something like a pilot's shirt might be good for casual occasions. Short sleeve dress shirt, things like that. The basic tenet with the tartan in question, if you're thinking about clergy / clerk in general, was that there's a lot of confusion about it, but the earliest examples we have of it actually goes back to a design all the way back to like the 1830s with Wilson's of Bannockburn. It's that old. The problem is it went through a lot of variations, and it has a very strange journey of color changes and stuff. But the basic theory was that the original tartan, which was called Priest by Wilson's, was that it was muted, darker tones. There was apparently some prescription or some custom in the Highlands, like in the 18th going into the 19th century, that no one had a problem with priests or ministers wearing a kilt, but they thought they should be more subdued. They thought it should be more subdued colors, darker colors. And since you're in the land of Presbyterianism, it makes perfect sense. So going with clerk or clergy, hey, you're good. It's fine. It's tradition. It's been around for a while. Go for it. You can also wear other tartans. So you don't have to feel like it's putting on your collar, like you have to have the same kilt whenever you're in uniform, as it were. You can wear other tartans. So the old advice was just try to keep it, a little low-key, a little calm. So maybe not loud in the cloud.
Yeah. Agreed.
But that's, in a nutshell, that's what I think.
The one other thing I'll point out, logistically speaking, if you are going to be in front of a group standing, great, wonderful. If you're going to be in a Bible study sitting, if it's in like the back of your church and rectory and everyone's in a low couch, be mindful of flashing the congregation or the people in the Bible study. Make sure that you are standing, either standing or are very, very cognizant of the situation in your lap, shall we say. Make sure you're wearing underwear, especially when you're around those people. You don't want to have any kind of wardrobe malfunctions or embarrassing situations. So just be more cognizant than you normally would in the rest of your life with those type of situations.
I think the bottom line is you want it to be an expression of personality. You do not want it to become a gimmick. I see what you're saying about wanting to be, the fun pastor. The kilted pastor could be fun, but you also don't want it to become the only thing you're known for. I mean, it can be a great icebreaker like it is for other people, fine. But you need to be able to project authority and dignity and also compassion and support and all those kinds of things as your vocation demands when it's necessary. So you don't want the kilt to become a distraction or something that lessens your authority somehow in people's minds.
Authority or the general mission. You are shepherding to a flock. You are, there.
Well, that's what I was saying.
Yes, understood. But you're there to preach the word of God. You're not there to be a distraction in, why is he doing this? Once people, understand that this is kind of part of who you are and that's part of your personality, that's fine. But you don't want it to distract from the main mission.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah. So,
Agreed.
start with where the congregation's at first.
Yeah.
And then go from there.
And or if you get pushback on it, maybe start with a tie. Maybe start with a tartan vest.
I was just thinking.
Start with other things to incorporate it into the outfit to kind of get them used to it. It's like boiling frogs. You start slow and you build up. So there's other ways to incorporate it into the outfit and get them used to it. Before jumping in.
You could also code it for certain occasions. Like the Presbyterians were very famous for back in the Covenanter days. They actually some of their services had to be in secret, or they were not allowed to be on government sanctioned church land, so they would have their services in the wilderness, in glens and stuff, in outdoor settings. So it might be that your kilt becomes something you use for outdoor activities, like the fundraiser fair, the barbecue in the summer, or outdoor services or something like that. And it's part of a way of you letting your hair down for those occasions. But if you're in front of the altar, if you're at the pulpit, then you're in something more conservative. There's a lot of ways to do it. You'll figure it out.
Yeah. Cheers. Good luck.
Good luck.
All right, Mr. Mac.
I got a little long-winded. I apologize.
No, it's all good. It's all good.
There were some notes of people saying that we definitely should do the Great Kilt Challenge, as Eric has put out there. And Big Daddy Chatty is still waiting, as promised, for the lederhosen in Kilts and Culture. So that it was promised a year ago. So
Max, so you got to make me lederhosen tartan. Yeah.
So this will be
tartan
interesting.
lederhosen. Yes, in the
Yes.
KNC tartan.
I like how I photoshopped it once, where you have the kilt on the bottom, and then you have the straps and everything of the lederhosen up top.
Yeah. It's
And then the
kilt overalls with
and
leather.
then the hat. What's the hat called? It's the alpine hat.
Yeah.
So
There has been some questions on what belt buckle you have on, Rocky.
Ooh. This is our fancy. It's shiny. Wow. Ba-ding, ba-ding. I'm gonna blind everybody. This is our new American Eagle kilt belt buckle. It's basically our design. I went to our buddy Doug, who's one of our artists, kind of on retainer-esque from Celtic Hammer Club. Yep. And I said, look, I want an American Eagle. Give me a shield on the chest. Give me some scroll work on the bottom. So. Yes, Doug knocked it out of the park with the design. Love it. Went to our pewter mill over in Scotland, or over in the UK. He's technically not in Scotland. And had him cast that up for us. There will be a complimentary, not exactly the same, a complimentary kilt pin coming out in a couple weeks. I saw the prototype today. That's pretty awesome. So keep an eye out for that. But yeah, this is our American Eagle belt buckle. Very proud of that one. It goes well with the American Dream tartan, with the American Heritage tartan. We've had some queries for it, so it's time to give the public what they want.
ta-da.
Indeed. Yeah.
I like it because we start off with trying to do something that looked more Victorian, and we're looking at belts from the Civil War era and uniform pieces from the Civil War era, and then the design morphed into something that's a little more Art Deco. So it really kind of makes me think I want to buy some war bonds. It's really got that home front kind of vibe to it now. It's very cool. It's very cool. Well, it does.
I understand.
And as I pointed out, that is totally a Captain America shield right there.
Yeah. As long as it does not have a Stormfront vibe to it, then we're good.
No.
Yeah.
Now I'm picturing the
had
Uncle
to go
Sam
there.
poster with Rocky's face on.
Yep.
Pointing right at you.
I did
want
that.
you.
I did that once for a piece we did on how you should volunteer to help your clan society. So we put him in the feather bonnet and had him going like this. But yeah, I could see Rocky doing the Uncle Sam thing. But
Yeah. You need a longer gray beard.
buy a bond,
Man,
buy
okay,
a bond, and buy the bonds you buy will bring us victory. Remember that one?
Yeah.
tear to my eye. All right, Mac, give me a question.
All right. So David is asking, anyone know where to find a vest for a mature man, not potbellies? All he can find are ones that where they're slimmed down at the bottom and it can't be buttoned. So having problems finding vests.
vest? For
You're asking.
mature.
We're not mature. You're asking the wrong people.
I'm assuming he means mature of figure.
Yes, I'm going to go
Yes.
that route as well.
A man with moobs. The It's been a long day, everyone.
Okay.
The
There's a couple of clues in how he phrased that.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. I'm going to guess that he's been looking at regular vests, not vests from a kilt company, because the vests with the cut,
Cutaway on the bottom.
yeah, the cutaway on the bottom with the fake button over here and the buttonhole, which ne'er the twain shall meet. It was never designed to. It's just totally a survival and looks cool. That has nothing to do with Highland wear. So I think that it may come down to looking at either very old fogyish, very traditional tailoring, or, hey, we're talking about kilts here, so vests that were made to be worn with a kilt, because they tend to be more the timeless, early 20th century kind of a cut.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yes. The
Yeah.
only other thing I would think is if he has if you have a vest, or if you buy a vest and you're buying a vest, think of it anytime you buy, like, same rule of thumb for like women's dresses. If you buy a size 10 dress, if you're bigger here and skinnier here, you buy a dress to fit the bigger part, and then you have it tailored down.
Right.
If let's say you're a 52-inch chest but a 56-inch belly, okay, so you're kind of pear-shaped a little bit. In that instance, then you have to buy a bigger vest than a 52, because you won't be able to close it. So you're going to have to end up going to a tailor to have them, shape it for you. Mm-hmm. I don't know how much. I've not gone to a tailor, so I don't know what a tailor costs or doesn't cost. I don't know what the breadth of something that's able to be tailored or not, versus being made custom for you. So if you have a vest and it fits you well, for the widest part, but not in the chest, then fine. Take it to a tailor, see what they tell you. They may end up saying, look, if you like this style of vest, you may have to have it custom made for you depending on your individual body shape. If your body shape is outside the norm of regular type clothing, then you may have to have something custom made for you. That's kind of where I'm going with it in my brain, is you would just have to buy it for the biggest part and then have it tailored in, or just go full on custom.
Yeah, I think that's basically it. The depends on how often you're wearing it, what kind of level of formality you're looking at. Back in my time in the store downstairs, when we were selling Argyle sets for large gentlemen, we were basically doing exactly what you suggested. Say, let's go up one size for this, so you have more room down here. You can have a tailor do like a simple, simple tuck up here to just flatten this out a little bit. I mean, even mine isn't really perfect. Just looking at myself in the monitor here, it's just like, that could stand to be tailored a little bit, to smooth it out. So the alterations may not have to be that complicated to get to a point where you're happy with it. Yeah, that's basically my advice. But again, it depends on kind of what you're looking for in terms of formality. I can never, unless you're very long in the torso, recommend buying a regular vest at a regular men's store like Men's Warehouse or someplace like that. They're not made to go with a kilt. They're not going to look right, and you're going to have the more trendy things happening, like you do, as I think he was describing, with the fake buttons and stuff, which just look dumb with a kilt. Agreed. I think it looked dumb anyway, but
now I'll soften that a touch. I've seen some regular men's store vests that look okay. They look fine.
They're all right. You can get away with it.
Yeah. And like it really depends on the length of the vest.
Exactly.
If you're a taller guy, it may be fine on you. Or if the vest comes in a short, regular, long, then you maybe go one side. Like if you're normally a regular, get a short. If you're normally a long, get a regular.
Yep.
So there's ways to kind of trick it, or play around with it, or get it to fit you. Mm-hmm. If the biggest tell is where the pockets are located. So if you're wearing a vest and you want to have it tailored, like, I really, really like this vest. I love this tweed. It matches my kilt perfectly, but it's too long, and you have it tailored up. The only problem is, like, looking at Eric's vest here, if he had this tailored up 3 inches, then the vest or the pocket would be too far down that it would be at the very, very bottom of the vest. So making sure that the pockets don't look like abnormally shallow.
Yep. This vest is actually a little long on me, to be honest.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Cool.
It can be done. You will prevail.
Yeah, play around with it. A vest isn't the most expensive thing in the world, especially if you're talking for dressy or formal wear. So play around with it. Good luck.
Yup. My turn?
Yes.
Okay. Mr. William O'Hare sent us the following question. King Charles III is well known for his Highland attire. What other members of the post-Victorian monarchy wore the kilt, and did any of them influence a shift in fashion or style?
I'd say a lot of them wore it.
All of them.
Yeah. Whether they still wear
Bottom
it.
line.
Yeah.
All of them. Yeah, but I thought you wanted me to...
Since Victoria, it's kind of become a thing that when a member of the royal family is in Scotland, they tend to wear a kilt. It is not every single one, Prince William being the notable current exception, who in his adult life has chosen or opted not to wear a kilt. As a lad, his parents put him in a kilt and said, nope, you're wearing this.
Right.
Now that he's older and can, decide what he wants to wear for himself, he's opted not to. But a lot of them have worn it, especially to Highland games and gatherings and things like that. But it's not outside of Charles. I don't think anyone has been a trendsetter. Like they love it. I think he's really embraced it.
I think that's the thing. I think he, back when he was just Prince Chucky, he really was into Scottish culture and supporting Scottish stuff anyway. I mean, there are a lot of ties between the royal family and Scotland anyway. Like William, who eschews wearing the kilt, actually is a graduate of St. Andrews. So go figure. But yeah, starting with Victoria, it was basically a mandate that if you were going to Scotland, you would wear Highland dress as a royal representative, pretty much, period. Edward VII is probably, I would say, my second choice for somebody who really was into it and really enjoyed, making it look good. George V was, cool with it, but nobody really embraced it as much as Charles has, in my opinion. I think the heir apparent, no joke intended, to that is actually Prince Edward. I've seen a couple of pictures of him out and about, and there was one I just happened that really caught my eye. He was doing something at a ceremony at a school or something, and he was wearing a tartan, which I don't know if it was an obscure version of a clan tartan or if it was a fashion tartan. It looked more like a fashion tartan, but he looked damn good, and he looked very contemporary, and he was obviously into it. So I think he's probably the one who's taken the torch from His Majesty, and is going to be the one who's really carrying forward the royals being into it. Edward the Eighth, Edward the Sixth, Eighth. Right. Thank you. I don't want them numbers. The fashy one. He was apparently pretty into it, but he was a fashion plate anyway because he was a total playboy. So he got a rep for being a really good dresser. He was into it enough that he actually learned to play the bagpipes. It's kind of cool, except for that whole, German thing that he got wrapped up in. So, and that whole abdication thing. So we don't really talk about him.
Oh, he married an American.
He did a lot that he should not have done. But it's hard to think of anybody who really put their stamp on it and really just carried the banner high the way Charles has. Yeah,
and even beyond just the banner of Highland dress, Charles, love him or hate him, has been a very, very staunch supporter of everything Scottish and Highland wear, the Highland wear industry. I mean, like, he really, I remember talking to Greg, our sporran maker, about, when Charles visited, at that time, Prince Charles visited Greg's facility, basically talking to him, well, what are the challenges you face in the industry, and talking about, well, the MOD is buying Pakistani horsehair sporrans. Like, we're losing that kind of. And Charles went to bat and said, nope, not on my watch, and said, nope, we're going to buy all of our horsehair sporrans from Scottish sources. We're going to do as much from Scottish sources as possible for kilts, for sporrans, for Highland wear in general. And he was really a champion in making sure that they are supporting this industry and that they are not hollowing it out and losing the industry just for the for the cost of a few shekels.
Yeah, no, he genuinely cares.
Yeah.
They've all done it, and they've all looked good because they've got the tailors for it. You know what
Yep.
I mean? But he's the one who he'll always stand out as the one who kind of went a little above and beyond with adding a little extra something to his outfits, and
Yep.
and again, just being emotionally invested in it. So it'll be interesting to see what happens in the future. Like I said, I think William for some reason has an issue with it. Nobody knows quite why. Apparently, the Scots themselves are not that concerned about whether he wears one or not. But Prince Edward seems like he's really into it. So we'll see what happens next. But it goes basically. I think it's Edward VII to Charles III. They're the two most important ones who have ever done it.
Yeah. Agreed.
Yeah.
All right, Mr. Mack.
All right, I want to make sure that if we should block Graham for this question, or if he's okay here. He's like, when is Rocky designing a Pittsburgh Penguins tartan?
What do you think of us?
When
done.
I'm
I
dead
said good
and
day.
buried in worm food, and they dig up my corpse and push me around on the thing. No.
Weekend at Rockies.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, Mac, why don't you get that Mac Duck kilt you want?
Yeah.
That'd be great. It's the Scrooge McDuck, right?
No.
Yeah.
No.
Ha 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 ha. But you know what? You don't have to
son of a
wait.
bitch.
If you really want to spend the money on your team, we have this thing called Sterling Yellow. There's a tartan already for you. So just come
Indeed.
on, put your money
Yes.
where your fandom is.
A tartan that Sydney would be proud to wear. Indeed.
Maybe even cry into.
Yes, indeed. Well, he hasn't cried as much recently.
Oh, okay.
He's not as bad now. I have a buddy on my hockey team who loves the Penguins. I don't know why we don't just kick him off the team. But he loves Penguins, and his point was, Sidney Crosby has been a lot less of a crybaby than he was 7 to 10 years ago. He was much worse than he is now. So I'll give this much credit. That much. And that's about a thin piece of paper that I can give. Okay, next.
All right. So this actually caused a little bit of debate on YouTube. Jason is asking.
Controversy.
Yeah. Jason's asking, I have lost enough weight that I now have options. Is there a general?
Does your wife know?
Is there a general consensus of what holes to use on your strap to make the kilt feel and sit the best? For example, all 3 straps in the same hole, or the 2 waist straps on the same hole, or the hip strap. So he's trying to figure out where to put everything, so it fits right.
Yeah. Wherever it fits right. If you're as kilt makers, we are trying to, if you give us a waist measurement of 38 and a hip measurement of 42, we are, well, at least here, I'll put it that way, at USA Kilts, we are trying to make the middle hole on the strap that measurement. So we might be, any kilt maker might be a touch off, or if you took your measurement a little too snug or a little too loose, you may be 1 hole fore or 1 hole aft, but it should essentially be the middle hole. Now, when you put it on, if you find that your under apron strap is on the 3rd hole and your over apron strap is on the 2nd hole, sure, wear it like that. It doesn't matter. It's really boils down to the individual garment. And same thing with weight loss. If you're on the tightest hole on your left strap on your under apron, you're on the tightest hole on your waist strap on your on the other side, and your hip strap, you didn't lose as much weight in your rear end. You lost all the weight in your belly and none in your tush. Fine. Then this one might still be on the middle hole. Or if you lost, a lot of weight in your butt and none in your belly, then it might be the tightest strap here, or the tightest hole here, and the middle one here. That's why there's more than one hole on the strap. I mean, it's whatever fits you best. Let it form. Hell, if you have a heavy Thanksgiving dinner and you need to let it down a notch, let it down a notch. It doesn't matter.
Yep. You will know when you are calm, at peace. I just want to make sure that everything is smooth. Basically, so you don't have anything pulling so much that you have like, rumples or wrinkles in your under apron up here. So you don't have things like, bunching up against each other on your hip strap. Just make sure everything feels like and looks like it's laying flat when you're done, and you're good to go.
Agreed.
Yeah.
It's, if anything,
Especially the hip strap.
yeah, if anything, I would say make sure your under apron strap is snug
Yes.
all the way across, and your over apron, your front apron strap on the right-hand side might be one notch less or a touch looser, so that it allows for a more, flattering, easy, smooth appearance in the front. If your right side straps are snug and your under apron straps a little bit loose, then you're going to have somewhere between here and here, you're going to have a little bit of fabric gathered up.
Right.
So you want to
Exactly.
make sure that doesn't happen.
That's what I'm trying to. Yeah. Thank
Yeah.
you. You said it better than I did, but that's what I would try to avoid.
Yeah.
Other than
So-
that, yeah, it's fine. Nobody's gonna pay that much attention.
No, exactly.
Yeah.
If they do, there's something wrong with them.
Or they're a kilt maker.
Fair point. It might be Mac. Mac, do you have anything to add, or are you
No, just getting caught up on questions here.
okay?
Well, you'll have some time because you can take a quick break, because I think right now it's time for
The
Our ambassador today is from Lancaster, Pennsylvania, and comes to me as a special request from our sales consultants, Matt and Emma, who think the world of him. Dave Nyer is a teacher, a profession he says he knew he wanted to pursue even at the tender age of 13. His specialty is German, and he has a degree from Lebanon Valley College. After 24 years on the job, Dave's still passionate about it. His joke is that he teaches for free, he just gets the paycheck for all the paperwork that goes along with it. For fun, Dave bikes, hikes, writes poetry, and makes music with his family and his church praise band. Now, as many of us are, Dave is a mutt. Growing up, his cultural experiences were mostly closely tied to his Pennsylvania Dutch heritage, but there is some Scottish and Irish deep inside, and it seems like it was just waiting for the right time to burst out. The first clue? Well, back in 1995, Dave saw this small, little-known art film known as Braveheart. He says that started a strong affinity for kilts and also bloody, historically inaccurate epics. Okay, so fast forward a few years. Dave has got his degree, he's married his college sweetheart, Sarah, and put down roots. Sarah herself was interested in playing the bagpipes. Now, where do you go to buy bagpipes in Pennsylvania? Why, USA Kilts, of course. Except that by the time Dave and Sarah visited us, we'd stopped selling them. So I personally apologize for that grave oversight. Sorry, Sarah. Anyway, as Dave puts it, it was September of 2022. Sarah was beginning her adventure in the world of bagpiping. I hadn't known that USA Kilts existed and was thrilled at the chance to take a look at some kilts in person. She was disappointed by the lack of bagpipes. I, however, was a kid in a candy store. I was finally able to get measured and try on a kilt, and I left that day wearing a Kilts and Culture casual. The following Monday, Dave kilted up for school. He says he got a lot of odd looks and many questions, but every interaction was positive. The students, his colleagues, and even the administrators really liked the look. And the very next weekend, Dave attended his first ever Scottish festival. Dave basically fell hard for kilts, and his old love of Celtic culture kind of exploded. Seems the time was just right. You see, when he got that first kilt, Dave had just lost over 100 pounds. He needed a whole new wardrobe anyway. Seems the gods of the kilt were smiling on him. Dave currently owns 25 kilts, in fact, and he's become a true ambassador. He even convinced a student at his school to wear his father's kilt to celebrate the last day of school. All this from a gent who only confirmed his Celtic ancestry through a DNA test very, very recently. As Dave says, I'm definitely a Pennsylvania Dutchman at heart, but I'm glad to celebrate Celtic heritage too, though my own blood ties to it are a bit tenuous. At first, I wrestled with worries about cultural appropriation, but I quickly moved past that. I'm not trying to pretend to be a Scotsman. I'm just celebrating one of the great gifts the Scots have shared with the world. Dave says for him, another beautiful side of kilting is how it has taken an introvert like himself and given him confidence and joy in interacting with others. Not a day goes by without some kind of positive affirmation, and he loves that. Dave also appreciates how kilts are anti-fast fashion, and I really appreciate him saying that too. His advice to new kilt wearers? Kilt on. And if you run into gatekeepers who disparage your kilt game, remember that they are just a small and small-minded minority. Thanks a lot, Dave.
I can't hear it.
Hey, Dave. You're pretty cool. I have not dealt with him in the store, but I hope to next time you're in, find out if I'm available. I'd like to come down and say hi. So, he's a cool guy. Everybody downstairs think they're like he's like their official favorite customer.
Unofficial. There's room for others.
Yes, and that's not why we chose him as an ambassador.
You too can be our favorite customer. Just come into the store.
Yeah, spend lots of money. Buy 25 kilts. And he didn't get all of his kilts from us.
Fair.
He got several of them from us, but
He's no longer my favorite customer.
Yeah. Well, I don't hold it against him, even if you do.
Yeah.
So
Second
anyway,
favorite.
yeah, keep up the good work with the teaching.
Yes.
Sláinte.
Sláinte. All right, so that last one was Mac before. Go ahead,
Eric
Mac.
will be in tomorrow morning.
I won't be here.
I will.
I got scout stuff to do. So
I
so
work
sorry.
6 days a week, so I'll be here.
Well, then you should go say hi.
I will.
Okay.
Maybe I will.
All right. This question is from YouTube. Applevic. Apple VC. I don't know.
You're buffering there, Eric. Spit it out.
Can you talk about the different mills you use to source tartan fabric? What are the strengths of each manufacturer? What qualities might make you lean toward a Lacaron fabric over a Martin Mills or a House of Edgar or a Strathmore, for that matter?
Sure.
So I think you've answered this kind of thing before, but
yeah, we've talked about the different mills and which ones we prefer. I'll bring in Mac for this one as well, as he will regale us with his kilt making preferences over and thoughts on each mill. So let's start with what should we start with? Let's pick a mill. Martin Mills.
Okay.
Start there. I like Martin Mills. They have the Teflon coating on the 16 ounce, which is nice for sting resistance. I love it's nice sewing. There's not a lot of stretch to it.
Correct.
It lays pretty flat pretty quickly for
it
ironing.
gives up with an iron.
Yeah. It gives up pretty easily. The Strathmore cloth, a little bit lighter, typically 13 ounce usually, sometimes 11. It's a harder finish. And we're talking degrees. We're not talking like, crazy amounts. Irons pretty easily, pretty nicely.
I'd say it's a little bit, a little bit more slicker.
Yeah.
Feel.
Yeah. Maybe some issues with stock support.
that's a whole other
I won't get into it.
factor.
I was the big guy there to get the material down.
But the cloth is good. And in fairness, all the cloth is good. Lacaron has the new Scottish initiative. So all they have Scottish wool. So all the wool that they have for their Strom, for their 16 ounce cloth, is all Scottish wool, where it used to be New Zealand and Australia, like what most other mills get their material or get their yarn from or their wool from. The Scottish wool is a little bit coarser.
Yes.
A touch. How does it iron compared to pre-Scottish wool?
I'd say a little bit tougher. The old stuff is like Martin Mills. It gave up.
Yeah,
really
it gets
easy. You waved
scared.
an iron.
You wave an iron at it, and it's like, creased.
Yep. and held a good edge. It still holds a good edge, but it's a little bit more tougher now.
Yeah. So, dog leash holds a nice edge. It's a nice hard cloth. They don't really have that many stock options, so we don't really get a lot from dog leash. Battley's, it's a nice smooth hard finish. A little bit more difficult to take a crease on. Sometimes we have a little bit of an issue with matching up, the top and bottom of the cloth.
Yeah, both these last two, Batley and Dog Leash, can have a little bit of a bacon edge, if you want to call it that.
Yeah.
The way they use their tender hooks just don't.
Yeah, the finishing process.
Yeah. It's more. Yeah, it's more on the finishing end than it is on the weaving end of it.
Yeah. House of Edgar's cloth is the last one. You have a ton of options in 13 ounce, some options in 16, less yarn color options in 16. But their cloth, very nice, very hard finish. A little bit more difficult to iron, but once you get it in, it's good.
I would say that's the hardest one to iron. Just to get that edge.
You got to beat it into submission.
Yeah.
But yeah, as long as you get a little bit of pressure behind it, you're good to go. Yeah, but all of them have pluses and minuses. Like there's no one. This is the perfect one. Never had a problem. Only buy from this mill. They all have pluses and minuses. We haven't even talked about stock support options. Like House of Edgar in 13 ounce, crazy number of tartans. Loch Heron in 16 ounce, crazy number of tartans. We like Martin Mills cloth, but there's less options for there's only like 3 options or 4 options for Gordon versus 10 from House of Edgar. So everyone has their own pluses and minuses.
Yeah, and I'd say we have certain customers who are very, in some ways, very brand loyal to different tartans or different mills. Like I know people that they only get their cloth from this mill and that's it. They don't look at anybody else.
Yeah.
I mean, I personally like Martin Mills just on the fact that the ironing ability does hold a good edge. I mean, that's what I use when I'm off in France fighting the Kaiser. But I like House Edgar's color palette. I like their color choices better. So it's like I will go back and forth between those two a lot just on those aspects alone. But we do have customers that are like, nope, Loch Heron's all I look at.
You see, that's what I'm wondering. How many of them are basing that on the feel of the fabric versus the color palette? I would want to think that it's usually because they like the color palette that the mill tends to lean towards more than anything else. That's really the main factor in their mind.
Yes, no, and kind of.
Okay,
if
well,
they're no,
never mind.
Not never mind. You're right. If you're buying online, color palette, because most people don't order a swatch, so they're buying online based on the looks. Mm-hmm. If you're buying if they're loyal to Loch Heron, which I've noticed a good number. I'm pointing at Mac, not the camera, but yes, I've noticed most people who are loyal to a brand tend to be loyal to Loch Heron. So. Mm-hmm. Now, if they're loyal to a brand, typically it's because I already own a kilt or 2 kilts in this particular one. That's kind of what I was thinking. Yeah. And now, with Loch Heron changing where they're getting their yarn from and their wool from, and they're moving to something a little bit more scratchy, I am a little bit. It's not quite as soft. Mm-hmm. I'm curious if those same people still remain loyal to Loch Heron, or if they say, this feels a little bit different, now I want to go to someone else. Or are they all in for no, it's Scottish wool. This makes it even better. I'm even more loyal because they're buying Scottish wool, Scottish dyed, Scottish woven, or Scottish spun, Scottish woven, Scottish everything.
Is the word out enough for that to happen?
They're trying to push it.
Yeah.
So Loch Heron's the whole marketing campaign around it.
Okay. Yeah. So I don't know how good their marketing campaign is, but they've tried to promote it. So that remains to be seen for me.
Mm-hmm. Now, would the other way to look at it be, okay, so I have an ancient kilt from Loch Heron. All my accessories are that match that. I know that these accessories match this ancient. So if I get another ancient from a mill, I'm going to look at Loch Heron because I already have stuff that matches. Yep. So it could be along those lines too.
I think that's probably a lot of it. Honestly, it's a safety thing because you're spending a lot of money. You don't want to wind up. Yeah.
Because the ancients can vary. The ancients vary a lot from mill to mill. Mm-hmm. Moderns I think a little less.
Yeah, moderns,
as much, but it's the ancients, the weathers. It's the once you break away from that, that's where you see the big color differences.
Mm-hmm. Ancients vary from House of Edgar to everyone else. I agree.
Yes.
But Strathmore versus House of Edgar, or Strathmore versus Martin Mills versus Loch Heron, the ancients are pretty consistent. Mm-hmm. Weathered is the interesting one. If I have a weathered tartan kilt and that particular brown tweed vest matches my weathereds, therefore, I want to get another weathered so it looks like that, then you're probably going to be either brand loyal to Loch Heron or pigeonhole yourself into just weathered tartans to match that particular tweed. Or you just love weathered color palette. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Interesting. No, it's kind of very much to me, what child do you love the most? What's your favorite child? I like all of them for different reasons. Mm-hmm. I might have one that I prefer over another, but I'm not going to tell the kids. Maybe we get a better price from one of the mills. But no, they all have pluses. They all have minuses. none of them, I'll say this, none of them that we have on the website make a bad kilt. If it did, we wouldn't offer it on the website. Yeah, exactly. Because ultimately, the vast majority of people aren't that in the weeds. They're not this nerdy about this stuff that we are, that you are. So most of them won't care. Most people are focusing on what the tartan is first, then maybe the color palette, then maybe the mill, as far as brand loyalty. But ultimately, when it goes out the door, it has our name on it. So we're making sure that if it has our name on it, that the fabric itself is fine no matter what the mill. Indeed.
Yep.
I hope that helps, kind of. Any other last thoughts, Mac? Are you good?
No, I'm good.
Nope, you're good? Cool. That's it. That's our thoughts. Done. Yes, I'm going to make that the weirdest, awkwardest end to a segment ever. There you go. All right, Eric, go ahead.
That was mine.
Oh, then Mac, you're up.
I am.
Go.
All right, so we got Jeffrey asking.
Jeffrey.
He posted a picture of himself outside of a church in Edinburgh wearing a kilt, ghillie brogues, jacket, tie, and vest. He had a guy state that he shouldn't be wearing ghillie brogues during daytime.
Oh, come on.
What are your thoughts?
I think I just expressed my thoughts.
Are they black ghillie brogues or are they brown ghillie brogues? Ghillie brogues are made up. Period. They are a throwback to, the bog shoes, the shoes with laces that go up the legs. It's not something that you have to do one thing or another. If you like ghillie brogues, wear them. I would maybe say, okay, fine. If you're wearing tweed during the day and you want to wear something, I would prefer brown shoes and brown leathers during day.
That's not what this person was saying.
Yeah, but he's just saying, you're wearing black ghillie brogues.
Give me a break.
How dare you? No.
Don't you know those are formal shoes?
Yeah.
Then why do they make brown ones, son?
Yeah, son.
Yeah, tell them to have a Coke and a smile and go on with your life.
Indeed.
They're misinformed and they're trying to gatekeep on something because they're fearful of it being watered down, even though they don't know what they're talking about.
Or as our southern friends would say, bless your heart.
Bless your heart.
Bless your heart. Thanks, buddy. Bless your heart. Yeah.
I would argue against ghillie brogues just because I don't particularly like them. I would be more likely to wear them for a formal outfit because they're that little extra
help complete it
thing. Yeah. They help kind of complete it, but I don't prefer them.
Would you wear buckle brogues?
Yes.
I'll just throw it in my mouth.
If only to see you cringe. But yeah, that's sad to say we run into this semi-regularly. There are a lot of people out there who have a limited exposure to the breadth of what we're talking about here, and they will assume that there is much more codified in some way that they've seen based on something they've seen only once or twice, or something that somebody in a higher shop told them, or something like that. And so we do a fair amount of myth busting around here. So yeah, no, you're fine.
Yeah,
Totally fine.
Could you wear wingtips during the day?
Yeah.
Essentially, take ghillie brogues and wingtips, and you can wear them interchangeably. Essentially, so wingtips are not the most formal shoe. There are more formal shoes than wingtips. When you get into the nerd levels within shoes, and believe me, there are absolutely nerd levels in shoes.
Oh yeah.
I know. I started wading in that pool, and I realized how much I don't know about shoes. So, no, brogued shoes are a day wear shoe. Technically speaking, ghillie brogues shouldn't be formal because they're brogued if you want to get into nerd shoe culture. So, no, technically you're fine. Although most people kind of lump it into the evening wear, dressy kind of functionality of the shoe. So that's where he's coming from. You know what opinions are like.
Yep.
I'll leave it there.
Yep.
Yes. Cool. All right, Eric.
I guess my blood up.
Grr.
Grr. Yep.
Damn kids, get off my lawn!
Revlev06. Roger, over. Beep, beep. For Sept 840. Sorry, let me start over. RevLev06 is asking us, for asymmetrical tartans, such as Buchan District Hunting, weathered from Lakaran, if I want a 26-inch long kilt, what are my options if the bolt cannot be split or spliced? This is a very technical question. So for everybody else who's not in this situation, I apologize. We'll get through this shortly. Just hang tight.
So we're going to nerd out on
what do you
kilt
do?
stuff.
26 inches, 6-inch wide bolt or whatever it is.
Yes. Asymmetrical tartans are tartans that do not repeat. So, well, they start over. So instead of if you put a mirror on a particular stripe and you look left and you look right, it looks the same versus if you look left and right looking different. Now, many mills weave single width cloth, or a couple mills weave single width cloth. House of Edgar weaves single width. Loch Heron weaves some single width. In that instance, when you are weaving single width specifically, most of them weave a 32-inch wide bolt. So if you're a 26-inch length, you need, let's say 2 to 3 inches for a waistband on the kilt. You should be okay if it's woven single width at 32 inches. Hell, you'd be fine at 28-inch length. Now, the problem comes in when you have somebody who's a 26-inch length, but the bolt of cloth is only, let's say, 54 inches wide, and the mill rips it straight down the center to sell it single width. Now, what I get is only 27 inches wide, and if you're 26, 1 inch isn't enough for the waistband on the top of the kilt. So, what do? 3 options. And it really is going to boil down to how much money you want to spend, period. So, if you said, I want a one-piece waistband, period, it must be exactly perfect. I cannot compromise on anything. Then what I would say is, okay, fine. Then you have an 8-yard piece of cloth for your kilt. And if it's a, let's say, 40-inch waist, you're going to have a 40-inch, circumference plus another 20-inch under apron plus a little bit of wastage. So you need 60 inches of cloth. So an extra 2 yards of cloth, give or take, would be enough to take a waistband after you have the 8 yards for the kilt. If option 2, you don't have that much money, but you want to waste a little bit of money, then you could say, okay, fine, I'm going to splice. I will accept a splice within the waistband. So then I would order your 8 yards of fabric, single width, plus, let's say, a yard of cloth. We'll splice it and have enough, in a spliced piece for the waistband, front and back, the entire circumference of the kilt. If you say, nope, I don't want to spend an extra dime, but I need it to be 26 inches, then, as a worst case scenario, we could put on a solid piece of cloth for your waistband, like a solid black waistband, using using our lining material, or do what the military did with the grosgrain ribbon. Have a piece of 1.5 or 2 inch wide grosgrain ribbon, like the seafoam kind of color that the military kilts would use, and use that for the waistband on the kilt, so that you don't have to worry about it matching up with the tartan or anything like that. And that would be cost effective because you're not worrying about ordering extra cloth. But if you want the waistband to be made from the same fabric as the kilt, then, and you're a 26-inch length and single width is only 27 inches, then you're stuck ordering more cloth. Anything, Mac, you want to add to that, or any extra thoughts?
That's where I went right away, was with the options you gave. Even something that's spliced, a lot of times it's where the splice ends up falling is on the under apron, and you really don't notice it that much. It may add a skosh of thickness in that spot, but otherwise it's really not noticeable. I think we do a good job at hiding ourselves in the back. I think we do a good job of hiding it when we do it. The only I hate to say this option. There is another option, and I think our friend Caleb Birch, he's got a kilt, an older style kilt that's done like this, where the front apron is basically you keep that the whole length, and that's folded down, and then the lining, when it's sewn on, the lining is sewn on the top of the kilt and flipped around, and it covers up that top edge of the pleated area and the under apron, and then the front apron you have when you bring your liner on, it's sewn to the top folded part down of the back. That's an older style that's done that way. I've done a couple kilts that way for myself, but
kind of hate that.
It's not bad. It's just you got to make sure everything is lined up perfectly when you flip that liner around, because if it's not, you got to re-angle everything. So it's a little bit more trickier, but it does solve that problem too.
Yeah. Interesting. Now another little quandary, not asymmetrical tartans, but another time where we kind of get into trouble, so to speak, as kilt makers, is if somebody, let's say Kurt Kinnaman, orders a kilt, and he's 6'7", 6'8", whatever the heck that monster is. He orders. I love you, Kirk. You know that. And he has a piece of cloth from Loch Carron, whose cloth is like 54 inches wide. So when you cut that down the center, you rip it straight down the center, you're ending up with a piece of cloth that is 27 on either side, and you splice that together. You literally have nothing left if the kilt length is 27 inches. So what most kilt makers will do is order, if you're ordering 4 yards double width, you'll order 4 1/4 yards double width, and then you cut a 1/4 yard straight up. Then you cut that straight down the middle, and you splice that, and you turn it sideways, and that becomes the waistband for the kilt. You get into a little bit of trouble if the warp and the weft, or the warp ways and the weft ways of the cloth are not exactly square. If it's rectangular at all, sometimes you have a little bit of an issue with it aligning on the front apron. But usually you talk to the customer and explain exactly what the issues are in that instance, and here are our options. What do you want to do? But yeah, that is more being transparent with customers, and not trying to hide something, but explaining the challenges than anything else. Okay, have we nerded out enough?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm just picturing our kilt makers over there going, ah!
She's just
Pretty much.
running around like Beaker in the lab.
Yeah. Me. Meep. Meep. Indeed. All right.
Okay.
That was you or Eric?
That was me.
Mac. All right, Mac.
All right. Leon is asking, when deciding on pleat, stripe versus set, is it required that the pivot point of the tartan be the center of the stripe?
Ooh.
Is it required? No. Does it? Yeah. No. It's not required. I have 2 American Dream kilts. My first one is done to the stripe, and it's to the white stripe. And so holding up my over apron here, and this tartan has 2 pivots. It has the gold stripe here, and then it has the center of the red section here. And the white stripe is not a pivot. So I pleated it to the white stripe. You just have red on one side and blue on the other. So no, it's not 100% necessary. Trying to think of challenges. Really, the bigger challenge for pleating the stripe is like the size of the repeat in the set. If it's really, really big or really, really small, it could be a challenge. I just talked to Barb Tewksbury, and she did the Volcano tartan, and that one, the set size, A, it's an asymmetrical tartan. B, the set size is huge. So her 2 kilts that she made in it were pleated to the stripe, and she pleated to the stripe that occurred twice during the entire set. So there's different ways to do it, but yeah. Can you think of any other challenges, Mac, as a kilt maker?
No, I mean, I think the biggest thing is what you just said there with it being a different color on each side. I mean, I think County Cork is the same way. There's where you get a blue on one side and then green on the other side.
I've seen Royal Stewart or Black Stewart or things like that pleated to the gold and white stripe that's on the edge versus the white stripe that's the center pivot. So that one works to a stripe that's not the pivot.
But you also you end up making it more of an asymmetrical tartan in that aspect.
Yeah.
I mean, it does add color. I'm looking at it over your shoulder, or at least the Prince Charles version of it. It does add. It adds a different color than because it would be very red if you did it the other way. So,
Yeah.
add something a little bit more to it.
Yeah. No, it's that's one of the beautiful things to tartan is there are literally dozens of different ways to pleat things. So, trusting the kilt maker, trusting the process, trusting that we know what's best, or unless you have a particular preference of it has to be this particular thing. That's the cool thing about tartan is there's so many different ways to do it, and you get different looks depending on how you do it. Cool. Cheers. All right, Eric.
Okay. Yes. From YouTube, Silver Lotus Girl asked us which material for a kilted skirt is the best for machine washing and, perhaps more importantly, being flattering for a more Rubenesque figure.
What material?
What material
Okay.
is going to be a better option given those two factors?
I kind of go different directions. The a nice softer drape in some ways could be good. So, whether it's 11 ounce or polyviscose fabric could be better in certain ways. If you're wearing something that you want to be more form-fitting, maybe something a little bit softer. If you're wearing something that's a little bit more structure to the garment, maybe a 13 ounce cloth. So if you had like a midi kilt or maxi kilt, something a little more A-line. When we talked to the girls in the shop, we got a little bit of research. We wanted to have the female perspective on the question as well. So I know Emma and Susie both said that, an A-line shape or something that kind of brings it away from the body a little bit and kind of has a little bit more structure could feel a little bit better.
Yeah.
What
Feel
else?
better or look better? Or was
Look
it
better,
both?
excuse-
Yeah, look better.
Both. But
Okay.
yeah. What are your thoughts?
I just am remembering what they said, and
Yeah.
the fact that sometimes the heavier fabric can give you a better kind of a tucking you in, kind of a corsetry kind of effect. So if you want a smoothing effect, I think they had said that the wool was better for that.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. So there is that factor. If you're looking for like a control top kilt, then that would be one thing to keep in mind. But
Yeah.
I think that the machine washability is a good thing, but I don't think it should be the paramount concern. I think that let your budget and your aesthetic be your guide first. I think the wool is definitely going to be better generally for a Rubenesque figure, but it is, again, it's the cut of the garment itself that's going to be the real deciding factor. A lot of people get afraid of wool garments because they're worried about specialty cleaning situations and stuff, when actually tartan cloth is actually pretty hard wearing, even the lighter stuff, relatively stain resistant, and in a pinch you could machine wash it, but honestly if you have to dry clean it once in a while, it's not the end of the world. So I wouldn't let making sure it's machine washable be the most important factor in deciding what you want or what you want to buy. Does that make sense?
Yes, I would add the asterisk to the machine washing of either having a machine that can do wool washing where it's not agitating.
Yeah, I don't really recommend it,
And
but
wet washing, I would say yes. Machine washing, unless you know
Yeah.
what you're doing, don't risk it. But yeah, the fabric is less of a concern, or machine washability is less of a concern than the cut of the garment.
Yeah.
If you're concerned about how you are portrayed, how you look physically, and you don't want to have something that's form fitting, then a maxi kilt or something with a little bit more of an A-line shape, a little bit more structure to it, would be the direction I would lean, versus something that's more form fitting, like a kilted skirt or something that's going to kind of hug the curves a little bit.
Yeah. I think that's probably the best.
Yeah, and
best way to play it.
I'm essentially echoing what Emma and Susie said in that as well. So we're all kind of on the same page, and Max back there kind of shaking his head at it as well.
Funny thing, that's why we came out with them, because they gave us input that they thought what we now call the midi and maxi designs actually have a more flattering and more broadly appealing shape for most gals out there, as opposed to a kilted skirt. It's like they have a nice flow. So.
Yep. A little bit more material, a little more depth to the pleats so they can move a little bit more versus a traditional kilted skirt, which is shallower pleats and kind of tends to hug the form a little bit.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. Cool.
There
Hope that
you
helps.
go.
All right, Mr. Mac.
All right, so we have Scottish Wango Tango.
The Wango de Tango.
Says, greetings from Inverness.
Cheers.
I'm looking ahead to late fall and winter, and I love the great kilt look. Want to buy something more practice for modern wear. Would you suggest a day plaid or a cape or something similar?
I love the great kilt
But I want something.
in the fall, modern. So he doesn't want to wear a great kilt with the other thing?
That's kind of how I'm taking it.
Okay.
Huh.
Looking at the late fall, I love the great kilt look. He said loves the great kilt look,
Did he say but?
but wants something more practice for modern wear.
He's practical.
Practical. Yeah.
Yeah, not practice. Practical.
Yeah.
Okay,
That's
got it.
how he worded it. So I'm
Okay.
just reading it
Okay.
exactly as worded.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, more practical for modern wear. Would you suggest a day plaid or cape or similar?
I'd go with the day plaid. They were invented for a reason.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, they're invented for, picnicking.
Yeah. Exactly. But
yeah. Well,
I imagine since you say he likes great kilts, I'm imagining him being out in a natural setting.
yeah,
like
and he said
hiking
fall.
and stuff.
So
He did
cooler
say
outdoors.
he did say practical.
Yeah.
The voice to text with a Scottish accent doesn't necessarily always work.
Like the elevator sketch, right? Yeah, elevator in Glasgow. Yeah. Yeah. That would be my thought. That'd be cool. I don't personally care for capes. you
Yeah.
know.
You're not a Scottish superhero.
Well, I think he's
He
probably.
may be.
But he's thinking like an Inverness cape.
Look, Clark Kent.
He's thinking an Inverness cape, which is very Victorian,
Yeah.
but they're very expensive. And I don't really groove on them too much. I think the day plaid might be more fun if you're just out for a day hill walking or something like that.
And
I'm
practical.
guessing that's
Practical. It's a warmth layer.
Yeah.
A day plaid, for those who don't know, is basically just 2.5 yards of cloth that you're gathered up and essentially wrap around your torso or just put over the shoulder to wear out. Essentially, it's like, think of it this way: you're going to go out for a picnic and you throw a blanket over your shoulder so you have your arms free. That's essentially what a day plaid is.
Yep.
So something like that, it adds a little bit of fashion fun to an outfit. Yeah, I would do day plaid and just what you would wear for smart day wear outside of it.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not even sure if smart day wear is where he's at. If he's again, I'm imagining a rustic situation like hill walking. So maybe not tweeds
Yeah, it's
with
smart
all
day
this,
wear, but day wear. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
But that's probably how I'd play it. I think that A, because of the flexibility of it, and B, because capes are, again, they can be very expensive. And they're just, I don't know, they're cool, but they get in the way also. They're just kind of goofy, in my opinion.
Did he say
Yeah.
contemporary?
I
I think he's talking about something more modern than a great kilt.
Modern. Okay.
Yeah. So
All right.
a little more tailored, a little more technical.
Yeah, I was gonna say if he was going a little more loose, less tailored, a little more in the vein of a great kilt, maybe a tailored kilt with a grandfather shirt and a day plaid for hill walking.
Yeah.
I'm thinking again, fall, cool kind of temperatures.
Yeah.
If he wants something a little bit more contemporary, then I would not do a grandfather shirt. Maybe more contemporary wear or modern wear, but just throw a
sweater.
day plaid over. Yeah,
Yeah,
sweater.
a woolly
or-
pulley.
Yeah,
Or an Irish sweater.
yeah, woolly pulley I like. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Or a sweatshirt if he's going that contemporary. Hiking boots.
And super casual.
Yeah.
Yeah. Faroe Isle knit sweater vest. I'm a fan of that, but it's more fogyish.
It is.
But
It still could be good.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think yeah. I mean, feel free to look into the Inverness capes, but the ones I've seen that are either tweed or tartan, they're really pricey. So
Yeah. It uses a lot of cloth, and they're expensive to get tailored. And if you're going to be out hiking, it could be a lot to carry
feels like
around.
a lot.
You're going to
Yeah.
get warm. With the day plaid, you can wrap it around you,
Right,
or you can
exactly.
just throw it over the shoulder, or you can just throw it in the backpack. An Inverness cape, if he's talking about, he just said cape, but Inverness cape, I'm assuming.
I think that's what it probably means.
Then it's a long jacket thing with a cape on the shoulders, so it's going to have a lot more heat. So
no
I might be,
sleeves.
no
Just
sleeves,
slits
but it's
instead of
still,
sleeves.
a lot of heat
Yep.
trapped underneath the jacket, so that could make you a bit warm. Yeah.
And the plaid, you don't have to feel bad about just like throwing it in the boot of your car.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's a blanket.
Yeah.
So it's very forgiving.
agreed.
Now I want to see pictures though. I want to see what he comes up with.
Yeah, me too.
And now I wish I could go hiking.
We need to do another hiking trip, another Q&A in the woods.
Love to.
Yeah, we should do that again.
Just say when.
When?
Wham.
Okay.
When?
Bam.
Say when. I'm the Huckleberry Eric. Gotta love the movie Tombstone.
All right.
All right, go ahead.
My turn.
Yes.
All right. Micah Widman says, "What kind of vest would you recommend to go with my Nordic Heritage kilt?" Nordic Heritage? Hey, that's that new really cool Scandinavian tartan that just came out.
Well, damn, who offers that, Eric?
I think that little company in Pennsylvania called USA Kilts.
I think
are
I've heard of them.
The originators and purveyors of the Nordic Heritage tartan.
Indeed.
A little bias in favor of it, obviously. Anyway, they're gonna wear it for a wedding, not a formal wedding. So anyway, they're thinking of like a light gray tweed, but they don't know enough about tweed to know if that's a good choice. Ideally, they would like it to be something they can use for future outfits also. If they want that flexibility.
Sure.
So
So
Nordic Heritage tartan
Nordic Heritage
matching.
tartan. Mostly gray and blue, for the record. You don't need to only wear a color tweed that is in the kilt, but you can. So
Yeah.
for something that's very, very versatile, there's gray in the kilt, so obviously a gray tweed will match chef's kiss perfectly. But you don't have to always do that. It's like the brown tweed that you have on now. If you're wearing a Nordic Heritage or any tartan really, and you wanted to wear a brown tweed vest, I might suggest getting brown hose to kind of balance you out top and bottom. But this could work very well with that tartan, or really any tartan. You don't have to be matchy-matchy. That's the American thing, that we feel this need, this desire, this pull to be matchy-matchy all the time. I feel it myself. But you don't have to. It's all about how you accessorize it and how you put the outfit together overall. If you are scared, or if you're not used to pairing different colors together that aren't in the tartan, then yes, gray is a very, very safe option. It's a very smart option as well.
Yeah.
Thoughts?
I think, I mean, for that tartan, I'd say there's grays, there's some gray blue flecked tweeds. Micah is local, so they have the option of coming in and looking through the books. But there's some tweeds out there that have some nice colored flecks put in the weave, which makes them even more versatile. So that can be nice. But charcoal and gray is always an easy go-to. There's no harm, no foul. You always get away with it. But if you want to go a little more something a little more exciting, but still be able to use it with some other tartans, I would say some of the blue, like the Loman blue, might be nice. Am I thinking of the Loman blue or the darker one? Which one's the
darker one's the Loman blue?
That
yes.
is the Loman. I like the Loman personally.
I like it. I don't know if I'd wear it with Nordic, because the ice blue that's in it.
That's true. That might be too much.
It might be okay. It would really depend on how it tones with that particular one.
What's that? Howdenberry, or there's a red one that we both like. It's like this red and rust combination, which is really cool. I think that would go well with it. That'd actually look really sharp. Hey, I should do. I have that. I should wear that.
There you go.
Golly. I mean, you don't have to be perfectly color matchy, and sometimes you can just kind of you go with the accessories and let the kilt be its own thing. Like when I decided to wear this vest today, I was more thinking about like brown hose and the brown sporran. It's not a bad match for this tartan, honestly. I went off the reservation a bit with the tie. It's not a great match for the tartan, but it's close enough, and it's Irish knotwork. Honestly, that's why I was wearing it, because it's Book of Kells. So, you know. But, yeah, I think you can look at other colors besides gray. I don't recall what other tartans you have in your collection, but anything that has some red in it or has some blue in it, you know, one of the reds.
No, but if they're looking for versatility specifically,
then you gotta go neutral.
Grays and browns are going to be the most neutral. Are going to be able to tone well with the most things, or not compete with the most tartans.
Tans.
So, and I know that Micah has a lot of different tartans. So that, you know, grays and browns and tans, you know, tans are in the brown family. So those are going to be easy. If you go to a blue or a green or something that is a specific color base, or it may fight with some of your tartans, not all of them. So yeah, grays are great for versatility. Browns are great for versatility. Not all colors will do that.
The other thing would be, just because something's gray doesn't mean it has to be boring. You can find something that has a slight window pane effect or has a herringbone pattern, especially herringbone, which can make it look interesting. So you don't have to assume it's like, oh, it's a boring gray. There's actually a lot of really interesting patterns besides the color factor.
Yes, but now and I agree, and I'm a big fan of the window pane, you know, or
I'm a huge fan of herringbone,
kind of tweeds. Yes,
yeah.
But if you have a herringbone with a pink, or not herringbone, excuse me, a window pane with a pink, like gray with a pink, it wouldn't necessarily go well with a red, or wouldn't go well with it might fight a little bit with other things.
Yeah.
But if you went with a charcoal window pane on a mid-gray tweed, that would go great with almost everything.
True.
I had one of those for a long time. So, yeah, you just got to play with it and look. There's not quite as many tweeds as there are tartans, but there's a lot of different tweeds. So I'd say look for different tweeds that you like, find the tweed that you like, and then kind of see what it would work with in your wardrobe.
Yeah, two other points I just thought of. I forgot what I was going to say.
I had 2 points. Now we're down to 1. Let's see if we've forgotten that one.
Let's go to 1.5, you know. What was I going to say? God bless America. What was I thinking? Oh, yeah. Vests are not the cheapest accessory, but they're also not the most expensive. So you can get a tweed vest from us, at least. I'm not sure about other suppliers, but around 120,
150, somewhere in there.
Yeah, somewhere in there, bucks. So you may decide you just have more than one over the years, you know. 2 or 3 is really nice to have, I think. And if you want to be more versatile, I would recommend doing metal buttons, like antique pewter buttons, as opposed to antler, or, you know, I'd never do chrome with tweed, but I wouldn't necessarily do the antler because it'll feel a little nicer for evening. Not formal evening, but, you know, going out evening if you have metal buttons as opposed to antler. So I consider either the black or the antique pewter for the buttons.
I will throw this out there as well.
Okay.
If you have, now I know that they have multiple kilts. So if you have more than one kilt in the wardrobe, then I would say buy one tweed vest that's going to match your nicest or your favorite kilt, and then buy others that can be more versatile. So maybe if you have a beautiful, your Nordic heritage, if that's your favorite tartan and that's the one you're going to wear for formal, for the wedding, for everything else that you're going to have to go out and get dressed up in, then find a particular tweed that will match that one perfectly, and then get some generic-y gray ones or whatever, or generic tan or brown ones that are going to match the other ones good enough. But focus on the best one, and then have some fun ones to play around with for other things that might also go well with the Nordic heritage or your favorite one.
Yeah, I would say don't let the practicality stop you if you fall in love with a tweed and how it looks with that tartan, especially for a wedding.
Yeah.
You know.
Indeed.
Don't let practicality be the enemy of the good.
Yes. Or perfection.
Or perfection.
Both of them.
Yup.
Those damn peas.
Cool.
Okay.
All right.
Cheers. Mac, we'll do one more from you. Pick a good one. Pick your favorite person on
Well,
there right
since this event is coming up,
now. Ooh.
Ruh-roh.
Duncan Sims is asking, you guys convinced me to go to Celtic Classic this year.
We twisted his arm.
Yes. Any advice for someone's first Celtic festival and traveling alone?
How far traveling alone?
My guess, this Duncan could be related to a kilt maker across the hall, too.
Sims. Blue. Yes.
Oh.
Fair.
That's my guess.
Fair.
Oh.
I'm
Well, that's a long
Putting
distance.
puzzle
That's a
pieces
putting
long
together.
some pieces together here.
Yes.
I mean,
So California, maybe?
Yeah.
Well,
okay.
in that case, he wouldn't be alone because he'd be probably seeing blue. All right. Anyway.
Traveling alone.
Yes.
Like,
You're traveling alone. What do? First thing, don't be alone. Find people who you know and love. Go join a kilt group on Facebook. Go join a community. Find people of your ilk. Find people who you can share the experience with. Share an experience, if possible, it's always more fun if you get to hang out with people and kind of lift a pint and hang out and chill. So there's a ton of groups on Facebook. You can get down in the community tab if you're on YouTube. If you're on TikTok, just get in the comment sections of any of these videos and be like, hey, is anyone else going to this event? And if they are, meet up, plan a meetup, join a group of people, and it will help the experience. I would say find a hotel near the event or at the event because you're now, or find it 6 weeks ago.
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Because the closer to the event you are, the more likely you will be to, if you're traveling on your own, the more likely you're going to be to, you go down for the continental breakfast at the hotel, other people are going to be there. And, strike up a conversation. If you're an outgoing individual, this is much easier. Wearing a kilt, you might, strike up other conversations. So maybe if you're not outgoing, wear a kilt, strike up some conversations.
Yeah.
And just, hey, are you going to an event? What's the best thing to do while you're there? Is there a particular, band that you're going to see? And get feedback from other people. Or meet up with people while you are there. What other advice would you have for someone going to an event solo?
Well, I don't know, because they said travel, so my brain immediately went to like tire thumpers and 5 Hour Energy. Cross country, across America. Okay, lots of snacks, lots of energy drinks, maybe
your
a tire,
motor
maybe a
rolling
tire
in.
thumper in the door.
Yeah.
So,
I don't know how we.
yeah. Oh, and state parks are much easier to camp out, much cheaper to camp out than paying for hotels if you're driving cross country. That's my biggest tip.
Fair.
Really great way to go. No, at the event, I think you nailed it. Basically, find some potential peeps before you go. Kilts and Culture, it's a great place to start. We know a lot of people who will be probably attending Celtic Classic who are on that group. And do the whole meetup thing. Easy enough, and build some extra time into your schedule so that you are not running from performance to performance to performance. So you have time to actually find people and just have some conversations with them, and enjoy the FaceTime with people. And it may be that leads you to going to the pub with people after the day's events, or going to a particular performance or presentation or something together. It's easy to find friends along the way.
And if you can't,
it's like going to a con, kind of.
Yeah. And if you can't find friends, then I would say try to plan out the day a little bit. A lot of events will have the schedule of events. They'll have the stages, what band is going to be on what stage at what time, what handsome hosts are going to be doing a talk over maybe Heritage Hollow at 1 o'clock on Saturday. So look for the schedule of events. And if you can't find your tribe, if you can't find your people, try to find the things that are going to interest you and then plan your day a little bit around that.
Yeah.
Mac, did you want to add something?
I was just going to say you don't want to miss Saturday's events. I mean, there's one in particular, but you went, what time was that again?
1 o'clock Saturday.
And where?
Heritage Hollow.
Okay.
Celtic Classic. Yes,
Bethlehem,
Eric and I are going to be
Pennsylvania.
in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. Saturday, September 23rd, 2023. If you're watching this video 10 years from now.
Yep.
Yes, Eric and I are giving another one of these, a Q&A live at Celtic Classic. So if you are in the area, if you're anywhere within a 2 or 3 hour drive, go to Celtic Classic. It's a huge Celtic festival. It's a lot of really, really good entertainment, a lot of great vendors.
And us too.
And us. They're allowing us in. So yeah, cool. It's always good to support Celtic events, whether it's Highland Games, whether it's the vendors at the Highland Games, whether it's the food vendors, whether it's the clan societies that are there, whether it's the bands and you're just buying the CD or T-shirt from the band that's there. Buy the merch. That is how they make money. That is how they are able to come back the next year. Showing up and investing in that is literally investing in the future of those events. So if and whether it's Celtic event or not, whether it's a con, whether it doesn't matter what it is, whenever you go to an event, the more money you spend at the event, the more people are incentivized to come back and do it again. So making sure you're getting there, making sure you're actually spending money while you're there, it really does matter.
Yeah. So yeah, I agree. Schedule, just my advice was don't overschedule so you have time to actually meet people and talk, because it's those liminal spaces between things is where you're going to meet people. If you're in a tent listening to a band, you're both going to be like, "That's really great. Yeah, it's really great. Oh, what?" Yeah. So it's not the same. But yeah, I absolutely go for it, and I think that point about supporting these things is more important right now than perhaps ever. Ever since COVID, a lot of these festivals have been struggling. So it is critical that we get out there as much as possible and support them, and in every way possible. In many,
not every, but in many instances, once they are gone, they're not come back. So make sure you get out there, make sure you attend them, make sure you support them, and it's fun. Have a good time. I would say also this: just be open to a new fun experience. Don't necessarily go there with preconceived notions, and try to be outgoing. Like, force yourself out of your comfort zone to talk to people and have a good time, and try to engage with others, because these are people, whether you know them or not. These are people who nerd out about the same stuff that you nerd out about it. These are your people. These are your friends. You just haven't met them yet. So force yourself outside of the comfort zone. Start talking to other people. Form bonds, form relationships, because that's what makes going to these things fun.
Yup.
Indeed. Cool. All right, boys and girls. Here's the question of the day. What is your favorite Celtic event throughout the year? Link it down in the comments so we can help promote some of these events. Tell us what is the one that you look forward to every single year, and why is it Celtic Classic? Cool.
Right.
Until next time, boys and girls.
Sláinte mhath.